The album for me is the culmination of a lot of hard work and a lot of falling out and making up again.
It's just something that I think as a band we can all be proud of, but I'm especially proud of it just because of all the time pressures we had while recording it.
Yeah, I'm happy with it, how it turned out for sure. We didn't have that much time. I think I was back for, it may have been 3 months. And in the time frame we had it, I'm really proud of us. I think we did a great job.
We've put, all we have into this album, and I think it's going to be a good one. I hope you enjoy it as much as we enjoyed making it, despite all the, blood, sweat, and tears.
Well, I suppose the biggest change was that we were able to hire Stig as our drummer.
I think we've kind of just got better at songwriting, or at least writing songs that we all like listening to.
The melodies have improved. Our overall ability as a band, a cohesive sort of unit, has definitely improved.
The EP's 4 songs. You can only strike so many styles with that, so with doing 12, we need to sort of think, okay, how are we fleshing out this sound? So you have a lot of the same poppy vibes you get in the EP, but then you also have tracks that go in completely different styles.
Probably Leica was probably the hardest one. I think we must have made maybe 5 or 6 demos, all totally different than the last one, until we eventually kind of just settled on one. But also I remember we were writing the lyrics for that song literally seconds before Dylan had to sing them.
They weren't all fully complete in the lead up. In fact, I think the lyrics for Laika were done before I sang them. So my favourite song has got to be Anchor. That's because I came up with that in like 2016, and the verses when I first came up with it were really basic. The lyrics, the melody was pretty much the same. I think there's a slight variation now, but the lyrics were like so like, I don't know, like the first song you've ever written style lyrics.
Anchor, I think especially because I had a lot of doubts about putting that song on the album, and we had quite a lot of debates about it.
It was really getting let down by those verses. So what I did is I gave it to Omar basically, and I said, okay, you just make yourself like this song, like change it so it's something you like. And he came back with the verses you hear now, that guitar, and he put that in, and he added a few sort of melody variations that weren't there before. Mark was very vocal about wanting to put that song on the album. Angus he was the one that suggested it in the first place, because I didn't even want to put it on because of the verse. And then after Omar did that with the verse, I basically took what he did and sort of spliced together the ideas.
It ended up sounding way better than I ever imagined it would. But also I think it's cool because I think everyone in the band gets to kind of showcase their instrument.
And then Angus came in with this like bass line, which we'd rehearsed it, but I'd never heard it before. And basically we were sitting doing the demo, and I plugged Angus in, and I was basically producing him. And he started playing it, and I was like, what is that? And he was like, what's the bass line? And I was like, you've been playing this the whole time. How did I not hear this? That's got to be my favourite bass line actually in the album as well. Although Everything Slowly's got like 3 amazing ones in it.
Dylan gets some nice vocals on there. Angus has got a pretty cool bass line. Mark gets to play some pretty heavy drums. And then I get a fun little guitar solo at the end. So I think that's probably my favourite one.
And yeah, and Mark did his thing, sort of really played for the song in that one. And Omar basically just solos the whole way through.
Favourite? It's probably between Anchor and Just Go.
My favourite will definitely be Pedalo, because of the process. And when me and Omar started writing that, we ended up writing Just What I Needed by the Cars again, and took a little bit of time to really move away from that absolute rock ballad. And what came out was a pretty cool mix of sort of alternative sounding music, and with a sort of catchiest chorus, which is what we always look to do.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, Free beer. First gig we played was like a garden party, and we didn't get paid. But there was a sort of bring your own beer, American style cooler that had just a bunch of beers people had brought with them. And we quickly realised no one's going to notice if each of us walks out with like jackets full of bottles.
Lockdown finally ended and we were allowed to do a gig again, and we played almost like an hour and a half set in Twatams in Perth, and it was the day after I had a leg operation, and I still had a really great time.
Anytime at the end of a gig, to toast our success, me and Omar go get ourselves a nice, relaxing bottle of Buckfast.
It was like the second last day or something of recording Who Owns the Moon, and it was Angus's last day because he was going to Australia to coach tennis. I hadn't really been involved with the songwriting for Who Owns the Moon, Kafka and Electrify, because that was things that Omar and Angus did before I'd even met Angus, and before Angus was invited to sort of join Omar and I's sort of duo we've had since like 2011. But there was one part that I contributed to it. Angus sings, the stars commits the sin, and before it was just empty, and then there's one thing you would rather do, like that, but I said, well, why don't you do like commits the sin, which is basically what they'd done before in the other verses. And then as soon as I said that, Omar and Angus were like, oh my god, that's amazing. We had this sort of final mix of Who Owns the Moon, and I was driving everyone back to Glasgow on the motorway, and we put it on, and when that part came up, like everyone sang that sort of repeated line at the top of their voices, and it was just a really funny moment. I mean, there's one in Glassford that really stands out where we didn't, I think Mark was on an electric kit, and Omar couldn't hear anything, so he wasn't playing at all in time with us.
We had no idea what was going on the whole time, no idea where we were in the song, we couldn't hear each other, and we played in front of probably about 100 people, maybe even 200, and it was easily the worst gig ever.
Started off badly when we were told we weren't allowed to use the sort of Iron Maiden style drum kit that was set up, all lit up as well, so they gave us an electric drum kit, and what's more is that we couldn't actually hear the electric drum kit. Definitely couldn't hear the guitars, and I definitely couldn't hear any vocals, and I think that was the same for everyone. I think Mark, our drummer, will have some pretty choice words to say about that particular gig. I think we did a couple of really good ones at Box, actually, as a full band a few years ago before lockdown.
It's got to be one of the Box gigs. We played at Box like 4 times, I think, but there was one particular one where we played Just Go, and it was the first time that anyone had heard this song live in the crowd, and they started singing right the go, just go bit to us as we were playing it, and we never had that with any of our songs. Not in the first play anyway. I think you get it sometimes with, like, obviously people sing Who Owns the Moon quite a lot back to us, but that was crazy.
This gig we played was on my birthday in Box in Glasgow, and we played a bunch of songs that nobody had ever heard before, and then we played Just Go, which is off our new album, and by the second chorus everyone was singing along and dancing even though they'd never heard the song before. So I thought that was probably the best gig we ever played. It was definitely a lot of fun.
I'm fairly easy with that. Just any kind of performance I'll be happy with. I don't need to play at Wembley or anything like that, or in front of baying crowds.
I used to play stuff like Wembley in front of some big crowds.
King Tut's, just because it has such a reputation and so many now famous bands played there when they were small, like the Killers, who were one of my favourite bands.
King Tut's.
King Tut's Wawa Hut.
One of those two. Oh, definitely.
Yes, absolutely. The album is basically exactly what we all, what I envisioned for sure. All the songs that, our producer was a very good producer and enhanced the level that the songs were at originally, and we've ended up with something I can really be quite proud of, to be fair. Well, first thing, probably most important, is that we're playing a gig at the Flying Duck on on March the 11th, which we're actually headlining, and we're really excited about that. And maybe a bit later on, maybe in April, we might be supporting the Zombie Economists, another Glasgow band, at 13th Note. Very exciting.